This is Elad Katz, and we're here in Castel Winery. So I made a visit to him, and I want to see if there is a difference tasting the Chardonnay here versus in the States. And I see that you guys have real French
Oak.
This is French oak.
This is not French, it's European, not from France.
From where in Europe?
Somewhere Central Europe, I don't know. Yeah, that's for the fire. It gets quite cold here at winter. The big difference, by the way, between this Chardonnay and the one we've tasted is that this is 2018. It's a new vintage, just released.
But it happens to be, I've tried your Chardonnays older, and unlike all the other Chardonnays, it enhances the flavor. Like, it becomes a little deeper and oakier and sweeter versus
Concentrated,
cleaner and crispier. What is the difference? Why some Chardonnays turn bad into vinegar when you tasted 2014, and why some are like coming out like Chablis style, like French deep, different notes, maybe honey?
So, first thing is that we ferment the Chardonnay with its lees. It's called sourly in French, on the lees, inside the barrel. Lees, sediments, like natural sediments, the dead yeasts, particles from the skin. So it ferments with all this, like it's like a soup, a very rich soup. And so the wine is much more complex than like a table white wine. Secondly, we age it in barrels. So the barrel gives the ability to age to the wine. And it's a very, very nice vineyard as well. That's actually a single vineyard, single variety, single vineyard that we've been doing since
What means single vineyard?
Meaning we have only one plot of Chardonnay in Kibbutz Tzuba, not very far from here, and we produce this wine only from there. Since 1998, actually, that was the first vintage.
I remember.
I have a nice idea. We go down to the cellar, and we have a nice library of the past. We can choose one.
And your library reads only wines?
Only wines, yeah.
Okay.
And we can choose one and taste it.
You know what's interesting? I was here, I think, the first time was like 13 years ago, or 14 years ago maybe. And I still have the same note when I smell the Chardonnay, that it smells like from butter, you know, when you put it on popcorn?
Yeah, it's very consistent.
I can't say where I have the butter and popcorn the first time, but it has that, like a little of burned oak in the background.
You know, a lot of people think the burned oak or the smoke comes from the barrel. Well, part of it comes from the barrel, but not all of it. If you taste the wine from stainless steel just after fermentation, you also feel like smokiness.
So where does it come from?
It comes from the work with the lees, with the sediments, and the specific yeasts that we're choosing. They create this kind of smokiness.
But I know that Sauvignon Blanc versus Chardonnay that's been in oak, do you have to drink it a little warmer than you drink Sauvignon Blanc?
I think it will do good to the wine, because this is not a table white wine. This is not a wine, you know, just to drink.
I love this wine.
You have to eat with it. It's a wine that bears a lot of it. So if you warm it a bit, or you serve it a bit warmer, not like red wine, but not like regular white wine, you'll get more complexity, more aromas bursting out of your glass.
It's like when you take out an apple out of the freezer.
Yeah.
You have more, your taste buds is...
True. So a nice Sauvignon Blanc, which is fresh and crisp. You want it to be as cold as it can be.
Why don't you guys make like 100% Sauvignon Blanc?
So actually we have the La Vie Blanc.
It's a blend, no?
It's a blend, but it's a 90% Sauvignon Blanc. So actually we can call it Sauvignon Blanc.
But it doesn't taste like the average Sauvignon Blancs here in Israel, like very clean cut New Zealand style. Yeah. It has a little more complexity.
Yeah, that's why we blended it.
You put it in oak? Or?
Not at all, just Chardonnay and some Viognier.
So to give her more character.
More character.
You don't want typical.
Yep.
I can sure say this place is not typical.
We try.
L'chaim.
And this wine, you know, the only thing that changes is the year. Because with our other blends, if you think about it, we can blend, you know, this year like that and that year like that. This is the same plot, same method, like fermenting, aging in barrels from 3 different
What makes a winery a boutique winery, and what makes a wine it should be called reserve? Because I think that when you see in a car BMW, it gives a certain standard that they tested the engine 20 times, that the Queen of England is driving it, you know, it has a certain package, how many cars they made. What makes a winery boutique? Because a lot of people tell me, oh, this wine says reserve, but they really don't know that it could mean nothing for certain wineries, and it could mean everything for certain wineries.
Yeah.
It's like getting 100 on a test. In certain schools, getting 100
It's impossible.
means is impossible, and then if you get 100, you're going. It's like Yale, Harvard, and then there are certain schools like you get 100, and it means nothing.
Yeah, reserve doesn't mean anything actually because everyone can use it. It doesn't. It's not protected by law, so you can produce like 100 million bottles and call it reserve. Boutique.
But there's a certain thing like when Castel's gonna put reserve. Why would it mean something more than just another winery pisses out a label and it says reserve?
I think that and to your other question, which is on the same page, being a boutique winery, you know, boutique is not a size; it's a philosophy. Okay, boutique means everything that you do is let's say handmade and very, very how do you say mukpad? It's very
detailed oriented.
Yeah, detail oriented.
It's like when you buy clothing from a certain line and they only made like 20 pieces.
Sure.
And so
there is a correlation to size because you can only make as much as you can as
for being a boutique. If not, you become commercial. You need different machinery.
It's hard to make 2 million bottles in a boutique philosophy because on some point you have to go bigger and more efficient.
When you do boutique, it's hands-on.
Yeah, it's hands-on.
You are there.
We're
you
hands-on
pick the
on
grapes,
everything.
You plant the grapes. You pick the bottle. You test the bottle. You fill it up. You decide what label to go on.
We sell it. We ship it. We distribute it.
That's boutique.
Everything.
So, do you still consider yourself boutique?
Absolutely.
Because I think Castel is still boutique because there's something about Castel that makes it different from all the other Israeli wines.
I just came back from our vineyards, and you know everything starts there. So, if you want to be boutique on all of your range, the entry level up to your premium wine, you have to control the details. The details starts in the vineyard. If you have enough good vineyards, you're still boutique. If you handle your wine in the stainless steel tank and in the cellar as if you were making 10%, we didn't change at all in our system. We need more people today. We need more space, but it's the same method, same vineyards. We planted more vineyards on the same standard. So we now have about, let's say, 40 hectares, and we're self-sufficient. So actually, we feel that our growth, we doubled ourselves in like, let's say, 10 years. It actually helped us in bringing the quality up, not down. Now we have more equipment, more knowledge, more vineyards, and we can select better to make our best wines. It's
interesting about Castel Winery that Eli Ben Zekan, which is the owner of the winery, and he's such a passionate person, and he came from France, right?
He was born in Egypt, Alexandria, but he grew in Europe. So Italy and then Switzerland.
It's interesting about Eli that he didn't budge. When he came out and he sold wines for $50, people looked at him like you're like...
Where did you come from?
Yeah, like fashion belongs to Paris and wine belongs to France and Napa.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? It's like Israeli guts to like chutzpah, like to just charge $50 a bottle. But he had a vision. And now it's like, 30 years later and we're selling your whites for $40 in the States and people are buying it and you're selling out. And how did he believe so much in the terroir, in the earth of Israel, to be able to charge $50, $60 when everybody else charged 10 shekel for their wine?
He always said that it's kind of an accident or fate maybe, because he didn't really, plan this to happen. He said, I didn't start with a dream. I just started.
Making wine for
Making wine. But from the first bottle, you can see, can you bring me the normal bottle on the left?
All the way to the left.
Yep. So that's one of 600 bottles. First vintage, 1992. It was before we became kosher, by the way.
Okay.
And what you can see is that the label is more or less the same label as today.
Yeah, it's true.
Look at the label. It's so classic. He was one of our competitors said about him, "You're the most professional amateur I've ever seen." I mean,
That's
very,
actually a
very,
good
very
quote.
good quote. Very dedicated. He's very proud of it because this is saying chutzpah, first of all, calling your first wine ever
Grand Vin. And
but it
make
also
it like the Castel, like the French wineries.
like the French, and it's a
Showing
statement.
the vineyards.
I'm trying to do my best. This is what I'm doing.
Showing the shitty vineyards of Israel.
Yeah.
Like, which was nothing back then.
This is the first vineyard he planted in 1988. It's the first vineyard in Judean Hills. And he said, I almost came into it like by an accident. I had a backyard. I wanted to plant something. I thought, why not vines? You know, biblically, this region is full of stories. Judea was blessed by the vine.
They drank heavy sweet wine back then.
They drank heavy sweet wine. It was like
thick, almost as you can cut it with
they diluted it with water, actually.
Because it was so strong.
Yeah. They made it very, very strong and diluted by water. If you were a kid, you get it more diluted. If you're a grown up, less. So doing his best from the first start. But we really wanted to be consistent. And so you see the label is more or less the same. Same with this wine with the C. It's not about just, trends. We're hearing the customers, Rosé is a boom, so we produce more rosé. But we don't jump from one thing to another, It's not that kind of an industry. And the consistency that we bring to the customer is very important, I think. You open a bottle of Castel, we want it to be like an assurance. It's going to be good.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you have no idea how much Castel wines I drink. You probably do know, but anybody that knows me from my friend. I just want to say that the difference between Castel and all the newspapers that come out every day, same story, different person. Same story, different vintage.
Sure. Nice.